match for a good blast here at your side.
Welcome to Hokey Religion, the Star Wars podcast. This episode, we're going to talk about the Rise of Skywalker, Vanity Fair shoot, Galaxy's Edge, and maybe a new movie being written currently. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Welcome to episode 96.
We're almost there.
You keep saying it like that's the end. We're certain that episode 100, you'll finally be free of this mortal coil.
So close. Death, take me.
Just waiting for you to die on air. That's what you're
My
planning.
only true place for death is on this show. That's how much I love doing it.
Sure. Well, since last episode, we got unexpectedly the full Vanity Fair issue of
nobody told
of
us.
Star Wars. Well,
Nobody told us it was happening.
they kept teasing something, right? And people just assumed it had to do with Galaxy's Edge. Just everyone assumed it was Galaxy's Edge related because it opens as of this episode coming out this week.
Yep.
All the preview times have happened, all the various media previews have happened, and people just assumed there'd be a big write-up on Galaxy's Edge.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, it was just the full episode 9 like photo shoot and the whole issue dedicated to the Rise of Skywalker.
Couple little story tidbits teased a little bit, little character
redactions.
details
Yeah.
that were then redacted. Yes.
Yeah. There's a lot of interesting stuff. Other than the photos, everything just looks so damn cool. Like what we got a shot of Carrie Russell, confirmed to be Carrie Russell as Zori Bliss, which is some quote roguish character. So we don't know what she is or what she has to do with anything.
Mm-hmm. Sounds like another DJ type to me. Maybe not quite as big a role, but
yeah. I mean, with an outfit like that, how can you not be like a bounty hunter or something? I don't know.
Yeah.
But if you remember months back, there was a episode 9 poster that leaked online that people thought were fake, and that character was one of the characters that her whole Zori Bliss outfit was one of the characters that was like, that looks stupid. And now seeing her, it looks better. Obviously seeing it in a actual post-production like set up photo than in that shitty poster we got before.
Yeah, what did we say about that? The poster just looked
really badly
terrible.
It was like it wasn't finished. It definitely wasn't a finished poster.
Probably just a proof of concept kind of thing, you know.
Right. So I mean, she's got an interesting look to the character. It'll be she's seen in the picture from the issue. She's seen in the Thieves' Quarter of the snow-dusted world, Kijimi. Which there were talks in at least leaks from previous films before they came out. There was always talks about a snow planet with a quote castle. So I'm wondering if this is finally it that had been referenced in leaks for. I think originally it was talked to be in Last Jedi. I think there was leaks of it for that, like rumors about this snow planet that had some kind of castle.
Yeah.
This sounds exactly like that. Something that I think had been talked about a lot in pre-production stuff, but never actually made it into the film yet.
The picture is all, stone construction and stuff. Looks kind of castle-y, old worldy, kind of thing.
It'll be interesting to see how much, because like we were talking about a few episodes ago, even with the stuff, there were pre-production photos for The Force Awakens that showed the female character like scuba diving basically like around the Death Star ruins, right?
Yeah, right.
And so now we see that there's the Death Star ruins in this movie. It'll be interesting to see how much, after we see this, how much has been leaked for the various films. Like, we're all just pieces of the bigger story that have always been like talked about and planned for and weren't necessarily part of that movie. What were probably being talked about because it had to be worked into the overall story.
Yeah.
Just like the Knights of Ren, right? We've got a full shot of them, looking similar to how we saw them before, though. Of note, in the article before redaction, in the article it was referencing Kylo Ren fighting the Knights of Ren, and referencing the trailer and how Kylo Ren was fighting the Knights of Ren. Then after the fact, they redacted that, saying they were incorrect about that.
Well, yeah, the way it was written though, it wasn't like the author was saying something like she wasn't quoting something from JJ or anyone
No,
else connected
it
to the
almost seemed
story.
like maybe just an assumption.
Yeah, it was like she made an assumption about what he was doing.
But
in the
that was always
trailer.
my assumption too. Like that guy that he's body slamming in the trailer looks a heck of a lot like the.
Yeah, we talked about it a little
His
bit, yeah.
helmet looks just like the guy that's standing there with the Knights of Ren.
Yeah,
In the shot where Rey has her little Force vision.
yeah.
And if you notice, that guy with that helmet is not in this desert shot in the photo shoot
Right.
from. So he may have not made it out of that battle if Kylo Ren actually did body slam him with his lightsaber.
Yeah, I mean, nothing has said so far that there's a certain number of Knights of Ren. There could be more. There could
Right.
have been more at some point.
Right. And I mean, it's been referenced to, and they talked about it in the article, how, like, you know, Kylo came, because Snoke references, you know, your Knights of Ren, right?
Yeah.
Like they're his. But I think this article, if I remember correctly, I'd have to find the exact wording, but I think it referenced like Kylo joining the Knights of Ren, and that's where he like started his whole misadventures in trying to be a bad guy.
Maybe, yeah.
So I don't know how much the Knights of Ren are something that he fell into that was already a thing, and then he left them, you know?
Well, I think, doesn't it say in the article at some point that that's where his name came
That's
from?
where he got his name, as when he was part of the Knights of Ren. That's where he got his name.
Which means that group probably, yeah, right, existed before he
Right.
did.
So it's just it's still interesting to be like, it's because we don't know what are they? What were they before he joined them? Are
It also
they any
says-
different after he joined them, and have they even still been apart, or did he, or was that, you know, did he leave them to go then follow Snoke, and they've had nothing to do with each other since?
Yeah.
But if so, why are they suddenly here now and involved if he doesn't necessarily need them?
Yeah, it also said that I think it was in the article, or maybe it was in a different article that was released at the same time. Something about that the Knights of Ren were key in seducing Ben. Like, it wasn't just Snoke. Did you read that? I'll have to find that.
I don't remember that one exactly.
I'll have to find that part in the article. But anyway.
Right. Yeah, I mean, looking through the article, there's other key things. Like, there's been that rumor, or like just like that crappy poster that was leaked, right? C-3PO had Chewbacca's bowcaster and his bandolier on, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's been this rumor of there being a basically Rambo C-3PO at some point in the film. And one of the shots of in the Vanity Fair issue is the Falcon cockpit with Lando and Poe and Chewbacca. Chewbacca doesn't have his bandolier on in that photo.
Who did Anthony Daniels tweet something about? Or no, that was in this
it's
article.
in the article too, where he says C-3PO does something he's never done before.
Yeah, so
like
is
it's
that
like saying it's like this big deal. So I think C-3PO totally does. I mean, it's that
Kill
poster,
somebody?
That poster was legit, and C-3PO does have some kind of Rambo moment. We can only hope it's better than what happened in Attack of the Clones when he was a battle droid for a little while.
Do you think he killed? Do you think he kills somebody?
On purpose?
Yeah. Does he defend someone? Maybe he's never
No.
really done that before, has he?
So, right. So just all of the things we have with C-3PO. C-3PO he's the comic relief almost always. Like, he's always used for comic relief in almost every circumstance
Yeah.
that C-3PO is ever involved in.
Yeah.
Like Attack of the Clones, there's like a sequence that is god awfully too long of him being a battle droid. And it's just focusing on him when there's much bigger shit happening that we would much rather see than him bumbling around as a battle droid. So it was like, you know, what feels like 20 minutes of C-3PO being a battle droid, but I'm sure it was like 5.
You've got Boba Fett's father in the same battle, and yet we're following 3PO around.
As he's accidentally shooting things.
With a battle droid head, which, by the way, his whole personality changed as if the head is the CPU of the
brain.
droid.
Yeah, it's all
the
kept,
brain of
it's
the
all
droid.
kept right there. Well, there was a battle droid with C-3PO's head, and then there was a C-3PO
With a battle droid's body.
with the battle droid.
Yeah, C-3PO's head with a battle droid body.
So he had the
but it
gun,
was
and
still
he was like
him.
accidentally shooting things.
Yes.
Right. So I can't picture there being a serious moment in this movie where C-3PO has a gun and a bandolier and is like very seriously killing someone. Like I don't picture some kind of like dirty, hairy moment with C-3PO like seriously contemplating and then deciding to kill someone. Like a murder happens from C-3PO. I can only imagine it being an accident or in some kind of defense. I mean, like, oh, after the fact and like it, playing it off because or his arms like fly off when he shoots the bowcaster. Like he shoots the bowcaster and just all of his arms fall off. Like that's all I can picture. It's just something comedic happening as soon as he does anything.
So you don't think you would walk up to somebody and point blank kill them and
you son of a bitch, and then
toot
just
toot
kills them.
motherfucker.
Yeah. Just places the bowcaster in someone's mouth and then pulls the trigger. Yeah, I don't.
And
see
then
that
wipes
happening.
the grip clean with a rag and puts it lays it next to at the scene of the crime. You think he would plant a weapon?
He's staging
He's
a crime
planting evidence.
scene. He's like staging a crime scene.
You don't think 3PO would be all about that now?
That's a whole nother thing that we would have to get into then. That's the whole implications of, the 3 like laws of robotics that we need to start discussing. That's a whole nother problem.
Yeah, is 3PO beholden to
Given that there's battle droids and
Asimov's
stuff like
laws?
that, I don't think there are. I think that's out the window.
well, let's say protocol droids then to limit it.
He has protocols.
What is it?
It's in the name. But I just can't. I cannot picture C-3PO doing anything violent in a serious manner without him being like forced to do it and be like, "All right, C-3PO, be a distraction." He's like, "Oh," and then like goes off and is wobbling around with this bowcaster, shooting it into the air and accidentally killing things with where he shot. Like he shoots something and a whole building falls over and kills like all the bad guys. Like that's the kind of thing I see happening, not anything on purpose. But these photos start to give more credibility to that, and the fact that Anthony Daniels is talking about it.
Thank the maker. Weird. This blood is gonna feel so good.
As he's just reaching into someone's open body cavity and rubbing the blood on his face. Just C-3PO just gets really dark and gangster. What else we got? We got space horses called Orbaks. They look weird. That's all I got for that one. That desert planet is confirmed to be
okay, hold on.
No.
Hold on.
Orbaks?
Well, yeah, and there's some other names in here that really got me thinking, like, what's going on with this new trilogy and names? I'm not feeling some of these. It's like
Florx Biggles. That was his name, right?
Yeah, Florx Biggles. Yeah. I don't know. It would be better if I had a list of examples, but I don't know.
And then we've got the droid Dio, which I can only ever think of
Ronnie James Dio.
Yeah, I can only ever think of the musician Dio.
Holy diver.
Yeah, I just. Oh, so instead of Sabotage, that's the song that's going to be in
Holy
this movie.
Diver?
It's going to be Holy Diver.
I love it. Holy Diver got.
It's going to be played out of Dio for even more comedic effect.
Dun, 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 da, 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 da.
Oh man, that's gonna be it.
Just a rainbow in the dark.
There's a whole sequence with Holy Diver playing. Because we've been joking about how the fact that J.J. Abrams is coming back and how he did the Beastie Boys in Star Trek and had Sabotage, and in this article he starts to talk about how he's like, he doesn't feel as much beholden to it as he does the first time when he did Force Awakens. Yeah. And how he's like, fuck it, I'm gonna do what I feel is right for the movie. And so when he said that, I was like, oh, so we're gonna have Sabotage in this one, right? But no, now we know it's gonna be Holy Diver because obviously Dio.
Okay.
Because it was planned. That's why they named him that.
So, by the way, related to that, JJ is here on record talking about how he was inspired and boldened by Ryan from Last Jedi to make these choices now in this movie and to get away from this kind of the formula thing that he kind of did.
He's gone ahead and setting it up so that if people are angry, they can just blame Ryan. because
Is that what he's doing?
they're already used to that by now.
Okay.
It's much easier to blame Ryan at this point. He's just the pincushion for all of the Star Wars hate. I do appreciate that though.
Well, yeah, I mean, so he's here on record saying that after all this hate for Last Jedi, that Last Jedi got for, being different, and I don't know what people don't hate it because it's well, yeah. People don't hate it because it's different. Why do they hate it? Because it's
not my Star Wars. Hashtag not my Star Wars.
Oh, because people ruined Luke and blah blah blah, whatever.
Yeah, people don't understand how
it's different.
Life works.
Yeah,
got it.
But yeah, here he is saying that no, actually. And when was it that he said that he read the script for Last Jedi beforehand, and he wanted to direct it himself? I think we talked about that.
Yeah,
but yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's been a while back, but I mean, I appreciate that.
I don't know. It's just in the faces of all these
pieces
Last Jedi
of shit.
Piece of shit.
Well, I mean, and I mean, we've talked about it before. Like The Force Awakens, I think it had to be beholden to Star Wars to bring it back and feel like Star Wars. If you just brought back a Star Wars movie and suddenly it was just felt completely different, I think that would have been very hard for anyone to get on board. Even me, I think it would have been hard.
He was I think he said in the article somewhere
you had to have this transition.
Yeah, he was trying to ride the line between it being familiar and having that feeling that we've talked about before, where you watch it and it's just this is Star Wars.
Feels exactly like the old Star Wars movies,
right? Not because of it following a formula or anything.
And not that Last Jedi doesn't feel like a Star Wars movie.
Yeah.
But it feels...
It's different. It
definitely feels different, but not at least to me, not in a bad way, unlike a lot of people.
Yeah.
But it's... At some point, you have to transition from being beholden to Star Wars to, one, making good movies and not making just the same movies over and over. But also, if we're going to get into making all these other movies, you have to have some, I don't know, some level of comfort and freedom to make the movie you think it should be.
Yeah, which was given to Ryan.
Which, albeit we're saying that, but Disney keeps shutting that down for people that have tried to make the movies that they want to make.
Well,
but I think there's still a very fine line you have to walk of it being unique, but still, there are guidelines you have to follow for a movie to be a Star Wars movie.
There's that's an interesting question.
Phil Lord and all that, with the whole Solo thing that happened, right? I think that's probably one of the biggest examples of it sounded like people were trying to do what they wanted to do for a movie, and Disney being like, no, that's not allowed. Yeah, it's you can. You're free to do whatever you want to do as long as it meets what we already have in mind of what it should be. That's what it kind of is like. But yeah, what's the difference between that and what Ryan did? I mean, because Ryan felt very strongly about certain things. But because for choices that he made, specifically because we're still working within that box of this known set. We're stuck in this box of for Solo. You're talking about for Solo for this trilogy, right? We're still in that box of this box of has to fit into this canon that we know about, right? Okay, so Solo has to be Solo because we all know who Solo is. Right. It can't not feel like Solo, and if they're trying to make it, like the rumors were of them trying to make it comedic or even improv-y, that I don't see that feeling like Solo. And I get that because you have this very specific box you have to fall into, and then with the trilogy you're still working with these characters that obviously we don't have most of them around anymore, but you have Leia and Lando, and you have these characters that you have to still work within these constraints of it has to follow the arc that has been there, and it can't be so off base that it doesn't. And as much as people say Last Jedi doesn't, I mean, from a storytelling standpoint, yeah, it does. It totally makes sense for the story to have gone there for what had happened. Well, yeah, people try to take the Luke from A New Hope
and then go draw direct, a direct line from that Luke
Like
to
yeah,
to the Luke in Last Jedi and be like, it's not the same person.
so many
You
people
totally betrayed the
so
character.
many people, including us, have said it so many times. Like he's had a character arc.
Yeah,
He has lived for.
you're forgetting everything in
he
the
has
middle.
lived for like 40 years that you haven't seen.
And there's a very clear story that's explained in the movie, like we've discussed this before, that tells you what happened and why he got to that point.
Right.
It's not like you're just.
They even tried to explain it to you.
Right.
You just refused to.
It's not.
Listen to the
It's not like you're
explanation.
just given that character and never. It's never explained why he's at that
Right.
point.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's
But
frustrating. Anyway.
for at least for JJ to say that, like, Ryan, it's almost like it made him more comfortable to continue that
Yeah.
trend. Is also hopeful for all these other, this other trilogy that's coming out, or whatever movies are coming out. I guess they've officially said now that the next series that's starting in what is it, 22?
The first one will be in 22. Yeah.
Right, is going to be the guys from Game of Thrones. So that's going to be the next series. So I mean, at least
David and DB. What's in
DB Weiss, isn't that one
DB
of the
Weiss
guys?
and David Benny
D&D is what everyone calls them.
Yep.
Yeah, David Beinhoff,
Yeah, whatever.
Beinhoff,
Whatever.
Beanoff.
Daddy's boys.
It gives me. I'm hoping that again that they
We'll
will
have a
also,
little bit more.
They will also have that freedom, especially because hopefully they aren't working in the same box either.
Yeah. I guess we don't really know for sure, do we? Well, yeah, we talked about it before.
Yeah, we have no idea what they're working on. I mean,
But we don't have anything that says it's going to be like what Ryan has said. It's going to be brand new with totally new characters and a new setting and
Right.
everything we don't know about. Nothing's been said about what they're doing.
no. And you even have
But anyway.
this rumor right now of a KOTOR, a Knights of the Old Republic movie being written from how do you pronounce her name? Leda Calogridis. Probably butchered that to death.
I don't know.
But she's supposedly in like the
Screenwriter for
final stages
several
of a
things.
first script for a KOTOR trilogy.
Yeah. Which that doesn't necessarily mean anything's being made, but it's something that's being considered.
I mean, Kathleen had even talked about that time period being considered.
Yeah.
Previously to this.
Well,
being
just like
announced.
we were getting rumors about Obi-Wan and Obi-Wan's spinoff movie,
Right.
which I'm sure there was at least one draft of a script for that.
Well, there was
at that
even a teaser made for the Boba Fett film.
that was never released, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was going to be shown at either Celebration or at
That
something
one,
else.
yeah, that one definitely was almost it was into production. Like
It was
they
like-
had a screenplay and everything for it, but
yeah, and they
it
had a
just didn't
teaser.
get to
They had a
filming
teaser that they had put
before it
together
got
for it too.
canned. Yeah.
But all of that was still working within the same sandbox of,
Sure.
of people and characters and time frame. I feel like even KOTOR, you could have much more freedom because if they've redone the history with the new canon,
Well, it
with
depends on
Legends
how
and the
much they
new
want to bring
EU.
back. Sure.
Right, but they have freedom to do whatever they want with that now because we don't have an
Yeah.
official canon for that time period.
True. Yeah, they could create a story and then pull elements from the EU
Right.
in
Until
order to
otherwise
serve that
stated,
story.
the EU is
Is dead.
half canon.
Sure.
But they can do whatever they want. And then if the Game of Thrones guys are making a series which I thought would be in that Knights of Old Republic era, which if they're just now writing scripts for it, it's definitely not going to be. Because
Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
that's a few years
it's
away.
typecasting them a little bit to say that it's, but like we said, they'd probably be good at that
I'm sure.
at that time.
So
period.
if that's not it either, so it may be something completely different too,
yeah, who knows?
which is what Ryan was wanting to do, and now they may be doing it too, which will be very interesting to just have these like, what is Star Wars after this?
Well, nothing has said, like I just said, nothing said that. I mean, they could do a trilogy.
It could be Obi-Wan
during the
or-
Skywalker,
Yeah.
saga timeline. I don't know what I'm trying to say. I was gonna say for movies,
It'd be the Thrawn trilogy movies.
oh Lord,
Excuse
a
me
live
while I-
action Thrawn,
Excuse me while I become erect.
erect.
I'm erect.
I'm erect. was gonna say if a movie in this new trilogy, the end of the Skywalker trilogy, if any of these movies was gonna take gonna make bold choices, I would want it to be this Episode 9, because it does have to. You're guaranteed that things are going to be wrapped up in a certain way. So there has to be.
It has to be, yeah.
Yeah, and even, JJ talked about it in the article. He said something to the effect of, "I had to find something that would make sense that brought basically all 9 movies together."
And I think he was talking specifically about Palpatine, wasn't he? About bringing him back.
He didn't mention Palpatine in this piece, the bit I'm talking about.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean, he gave assurances that was, one of the biggest concerns was trying to create a story that pulled from this entire saga up to this point,
right,
and made sense. But even if he didn't say that, you're guaranteed some level of that with this being the last movie and wrapping everything up. So having that guarantee, I think, make all the bold choices you want around.
And if you think about the arcs of all of the trilogies, both of the other trilogies, I mean, the last movie is like the one where it's just like it's just like this nonstop giant battle or conflict, right? That's where everything finally comes to a head. Like the end of, the second half of Revenge of the Sith is just nuts.
Yeah.
Just like balls to the wall, not stopping, just mayhem.
Yeah.
Of
everybody dies, everybody goes
dying,
to shit.
everything with Anakin happening.
Yeah.
The younglings, all of the important pieces.
The younglings, Tyler. Think of the younglings.
All of the important pieces. Like, and you got, Return of the Jedi, where it's just this huge action, just nonstop thing happening.
Yeah, that's certainly something.
What? Do you have a problem with Return of the Jedi?
The Ewoks.
Well, they were a thing.
What
I still enjoy the Ewoks.
The Empire went to Acto and the Porgs fought back? That's basically Return of the Jedi, right? And the Porgs won. That's the thing.
Why wouldn't they? It's their planet.
Yes,
I feel like
Tyler,
Porgs.
Why wouldn't they?
I feel like Porgs aren't as necessarily horrific as if you were actually
sentient,
like if
the
you were.
Ewoks are.
Imagine actually being on Endor. Like, I mean, obviously they put this into the Battlefront games too, but. Like, the Ewoks are murder bears. They're bashing heads in with stones and are just like these bloodthirsty little pieces of shit. Can you imagine being in that forest and being attacked by these like bears with sticks and stuff that just want to like rip your head off?
Yeah.
They're terrifying.
They're sentient, but they're not civilized.
Now, fighting against, mechanized walkers is a whole other story. Like, that part I understand. I understand people's issues with Ewoks fighting ATSTs and winning. Because that doesn't make any sense. How did they get those logs up in the sky to swing them in the first place?
I don't know.
How many of them would it would take all of them to lift one of those up and tie it into place? It's a whole thing. I get that. But I mean, Return of the Jedi, it's just, it's this nonstop action piece of, from the beginning with everything with Jabba to Endor, to the space battle, to everything with Vader and Luke and the Emperor.
Well, yeah, weaved through that. I was going to say weaved through that is Luke and Vader's personal story.
Right.
Luke, or Vader redeeming himself at the very end, and Luke finally having that final confrontation.
So as with any 3-arc story, not even with Star Wars, I mean, the third movie is where it's just like the massive, everything comes to a head. All of the storylines weave together. Everyone's doing something all over the place, and everything is going to be mostly answered, hopefully.
Yeah.
I mean, and like,
that's what we're hoping for.
Right. And we had talked about things being like them going back to familiar locales. Like, we thought this desert planet was Tatooine. It turns out to be Pasana. So it's not Tatooine, though. There's still the rumors of them having that lightsaber fight that they flash around different locales, and one of them being Tatooine. We've gotten other new characters. We got this. We finally saw Richard E. Grant's character of Allegiant General Pride. with a Y, Pride. And what the
Uh-huh.
heck is an Allegiant General?
Yeah,
That does not sound like a First Order title.
it was
be honest.
capitalized in the description.
An
So it's not
Allegiant
like
General doesn't sound like a First Order title.
I don't.
Because there's Captain Hux,
No, he's general.
there's General Hux, there's captains, right? So what? An Allegiant General sounds like another general that is fighting with the First Order to me.
I don't know. His outfit in the picture is interesting too. It's very. I mean, he's got the little military whip, or you know, what are those things called? The little stick.
It's almost like a kimono, like where it's crossed over.
Right, but then he has these. It looks like insignia armbands. I've seen
Right.
those on First Order outfits before, I think. Yeah, but then
It's like this high collar,
like a tunic.
Tunic, yeah.
It's interesting.
I'm wondering. So, given his age,
he's definitely First Order. I'm not gonna say that he's not
think
First
so?
Order, but Allegiant General. That's a weird rank.
So here's my thought. Right, this is just totally me coming up with reasons for this guy to exist. So he's old. He looks old enough, and Richard E. Grant is, given timelines in Star Wars, he would be old enough to possibly have been part of the Empire.
Yeah, I would
And
think
we've
so.
talked about how in the trailer, how we're fairly certain that Star Destroyer that's in the trailer is a Imperial Star Destroyer.
Mm.
What if this general, he is a general of a Imperial fleet?
Like
that
a
is-
remnant fleet.
Yes. So he is still in charge of his fleet, but fighting with the First Order. So he's an Allegiant General for the First Order, but he has his own.
That's
He
a
is
good
he is the
theory.
general of his own fleet.
That could be.
That is my thought about what this guy is.
Why not an admiral though? Because at that point,
I mean, yes,
Hux is a general because he's in charge of troops, the squads of troopers.
right, but he's just
Allegiant General. I mean, I don't know. If he
like
was
his allegiance is to the First Order, but he himself is not the First Order.
maybe, I don't know.
Like that's my only that title and him being old enough to be part of the Empire. Like I really want this guy to be old,
to be a
and-
remnant.
to be old Empire, and for him to have his own fleet or be part of some kind of fleet of the old Empire of those Star Destroyers we saw,
Yeah,
and for him to be an Allegiant General, so his allegiance goes to the First Order, but he himself is not technically part of the First Order.
I'll say this: even if it ends up that he is First Order and he's just a higher rank than Hux, whatever, I still want to see some Imperial remnant.
Yeah, definitely.
Like they hook up with Imperial remnants, or turns out Imperial remnants have been fighting with them all along, or I don't know,
Yeah.
something. That would be
So I'm
That'd be
going
pretty
with
cool.
that's of the various theories we've had for all of these films where we turn out to be right, even though we had no basis to be right on them for. That's my
there
one.
have been a scary amount of things that we've been right on.
We know what we're talking about. We don't care about anything else in our life but this. So if we get anything right,
This is
it
all we
should-
have.
If we get anything right, it should be this, right? So there were so many things that we just like half-assedly assumed about the other movies that turned out to be correct more often than not. So this is my theory, at least early theory about this guy, is that he's an
Imperial remnant.
his allegiance is to the First Order. He himself is Imperial.
Yeah, we'll see. That's a good theory. I would be on board with that. If the only thing I don't totally get is that, I mean, his outfit does look like
His outfit's
First
weird,
Order.
right? Yeah.
it does look First Order
But-
adjacent.
I still don't understand why Hux is a general. To be honest, why is he still called General Hux? Isn't he like in charge of everything?
Well,
Now?
yeah, we were talking about that a little bit before.
Or he, I guess maybe
Is it-
probably because Kylo's in charge, he's still considered a general, even though he's in charge of.
Yeah, is Hux just
everything.
like, is he just one of many generals, and he just happens to be at the center of this whole thing, or
Yeah, I
is
don't-
he general, like the general of the First Order,
I
or
mean, he
or
gave
what?
the speech before blasting some
That's
planets out of
true.
the sky.
That's
so
a
like,
pretty big deal.
He seems like he is the
He's a-
guy in charge of the First Order of as far
Of
as
the military.
of the military, which is
true.
usually some sort of admiral or grand admiral or grand moff. There's usually some kind of grand person in charge of all that.
But he's just a
But he's still just relegated to
general.
general, probably because Snoke was in charge of technically everyone. And now
Sort of.
Kylo's
Yeah.
assumed that Grand Leader.
Hux is like the
status.
day-to-day guy, though. Snoke
Right.
wasn't checking in
Well,
every
no,
day, I'm sure.
No, but he wouldn't allow him to have that high title because
Maybe.
he's technically in charge of all of them. And now Kylo's assuming that, and he's he
don't
won't
know.
allow
Yeah.
Hux to have a better name because Kylo's the one who gets to eat the Slim Jims now. I assume that's what he thinks is cool. Hux doesn't get any more Slim Jims.
Kylo
Kylo's
gets
in
the
charge.
Baja Blasts now. The Code Red, sorry. He's more of a Code Red, isn't he?
Yeah, probably.
No, Baja
Oh
Blast.
yeah, Baja Blast
Baja
is just sad
Blast.
enough that
Yeah.
that's definitely what it would be.
Code Red is a little cooler.
Yeah, he's not cool enough for Code Red. Not until he lands those kick flips on his ripstick or whatever you do with those.
Watch me.
Oh, poor Kylo. One day we'll love you. Probably not.
No one loves him.
Let's see.
else
The
we
other
got?
the other thing here is the super sweet shot of Kylo Ren and Rey battling it in a stormy confrontation, as it said, and with their force connection, which Adam Driver called their maybe bond. And everything in here has been talking about their force connection running even deeper than previously thought.
Yeah, like the connection that was introduced in Last Jedi that supposedly Snoke was facilitating
Mm-hmm.
is turns out it might be a little bit deeper than that, and
Right.
maybe Snoke wasn't the creator of that connection.
Right. So there's some kind of connection that's still continued with them, right? So
And
they're
I was
fighting.
I was thinking about that before we get it.
Yeah.
I was
Oh,
thinking
yeah.
about that Bond thing, like when Luke is talking about balance in The Last Jedi, powerful dark, powerful like
Yeah.
light. I can't say what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. Powerful dark, powerful light.
So when the Force awoke and Rey was
The light.
created, I guess, I don't know,
Imbued.
imbued with her, whatever the Force is now, is it midichlorian
She's
still?
shot through
Or
with Mary Sueisms.
was that, like, was Ben created at the same time? Like, are they linked in the Force because there had to be
like
balance?
even as children.
Yeah, because there had to
Yeah,
be balance.
it's-
Because they're the same age,
They're
essentially,
they're
right?
they're the poles of the force.
Yeah. They're essentially the same age,
Yeah.
right?
I think so.
I mean, they had very different paths, and
Mhm.
as we know. But yeah, so are they bonded together through the Force because that balance had to exist? Because
Probably.
there had to be a powerful dark and a powerful light. And does that mean, if that's true, does that mean Kylo can be redeemed, or is he forever doomed to
Right.
anger and hate and all that?
Yeah. I mean, it's still very questionable as to what is true balance, right?
Yeah.
This whole balance of the force that everyone wants. What is true balance of the force? Is it eternal conflict, right? Or can there actually be a balance in one person or in two people? Is it possible to embody
think-
that balance of like
I think that
harnessing
section,
your rage to do good? I don't know. Like what is the Hulk? Is the Hulk
is the balance of the Force.
Yeah.
Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk is that's it.
That's the balance of the Force.
The MCU already got it right. Professor Hulk is exactly the answer to the balance of the Force.
He's
Damn
achieved
it.
true
Yeah.
enlightenment.
Yeah, that's it. Well, we don't even need to see the movie now. Problem solved.
That whole sequence in Last Jedi where it explains the balance of the Force, like it's everything is life. Like life is the balance of the Force. So like
Right.
the natural force, the thing that Qui-Gon was attuned to, all that stuff.
Right.
That is the balance. So like in life there can be death, but there's also creation and joy and like all this other stuff. Passion. There can be passion in balance.
Right.
And darkness in order to have
Which
the
is
light.
why everyone hated Qui-Gon in the council, right? This is why like no one trusted because he was the emotional one, right? He was more
right.
He was not.
It's what
like
the
rest
Jedi
of
got
them.
wrong.
Right.
Basically, they took away all of that other side
That's why Anakin became what he was. Is he was just forced to squash all these.
He was a passionate
down.
one, yeah, and turns out,
yeah, they wouldn't let him, cut his fruit in the air and serve it to women. That's not allowed.
Don't serve your fruit.
But they forced him to become this, you have to put on this face of no emotion while he's just like this way too emotional teen.
Yeah.
And it just rips him to shreds until he becomes like the most evil person in the history of the universe.
Yeah. And then here we are 30, 40 years later. And here we go again.
Luke's trying to help and
trying to squash somebody's emotion in there, and you can't contain the ripstick kicks.
He just has to do his tricks.
Just let him do his tricks.
Watch, Mom. Oh, no. But so we've got this photo of them battling in this stormy, thing, which people at first were saying how these were like the prongs of the Millennium Falcon. That's what they thought they were fighting on.
Which is totally wrong. I mean,
but there's another photo. There's another like behind the scenes photo of this shot or of this terrain.
Yeah.
And it 100% looks like the Death Star.
Yeah.
Like the metal of the Death Star and the way
I can see that now.
The Death Star on.
It's definitely not the Falcon, but I can see this.
But there's another photo of that terrain without them, and it's not all glitzy and productioned up as this photo is, and it definitely looks like the Death Star. So I think they're fighting on the Death Star, and that because that's where it was.
And there's water.
Yeah. Right? But I really and other people agree with me. I know you don't.
No, I don't.
Something looks wrong with this photo. So go find the photo of Rey and Kylo fighting in the rain on this metal blocky surface, right? Rey is planted. Her feet are down, and she has the lightsaber up like she's blocking. Kylo, 5 feet away from her, doesn't look like he's mid-swing. He looks like he's like poised and ready, but also grounded. Neither of them going at each other. There's something missing in the middle of this photo.
No.
I swear to God.
No. Kylo is mid-swing, and so is Rey.
No, there's something in between them that should be there that isn't.
What? What would be there?
Something in post-production, obviously. Something to do with Palpatine. I 100% think. I mean, we've talked about this before. There's already the rumors out there that there's going to be some fight with some type of Palpatine entity or acolyte that's been taken over by Palpatine.
Is that for sure a rumor though?
It's a pretty heavy rumor, yeah.
It's for sure probably could be in there.
It's the supposed sources. Yeah, there's supposed to be some kind of acolyte, and Palpatine supposedly either embodies them or something. That's a pretty heavy rumor at this point. But I 100% think this photo is them fighting something else, and it's not a fight between them yet. This is after the part where they fought.
What about the rumor of them fighting and being transported
blasting around?
Yeah,
with the scenes. That's still supposed to happen.
You don't think that that's what this is?
Why aren't they anywhere near each other? Why is she blocking the air and why is he not swinging?
She is. She's coming around for a swing.
No. She's planted. You don't plant on your back foot like that if you're not blocking something. Her back foot is planted with her knee bent. She's leaned backwards. She's not going in. Her stance is way off to me. This photo looks weird. There's something wrong with this picture. And it makes me very angry. Because I know you don't agree. Other people agree that something is off with this photo.
All right. Maybe this is staged. And well,
I mean, it's obviously all productioned up, and it could mean nothing. They could just be in the middle of rehearsing, for all we know. They're both just like rehearsing various moves. Like, who knows what's happening in this photo?
Maybe.
But I think it looks weird. It looks weird as shit, and nothing about the way they're standing looks right.
Okay, I agree with you that Rey looks weird in the picture. But I don't think that the next step is there's someone in the middle that there's airbrushed
something
out.
Else. No, I'm not even saying they've airbrushed anything out because it hasn't happened yet. It may be totally post, Or maybe something else may be happening.
So
here.
you're saying
something is happening, and I don't think they're fighting each other.
this is a pre-visual effects shot where they're going to put a tentacle monster in between them or something.
Yeah, this is the hentai part of the film when everyone gets filled with tentacles.
Oh no.
JJ said, fuck it. He's going to do what feels right.
Oh,
Nothing
no.
feels more right than a tentacle filling you up. If you haven't experienced the rightness that is being filled with tentacles, oh boy, you're missing out.
Uh-oh.
You've never wanted to just be filled by Rathtar?
No, I don't think I have.
No, you've never had that dream? Just me? All right. I'm saying something looks weird with this photo. I don't know what they're fighting, but I don't think they're fighting each other for some reason.
I'll say this. Maybe they photoshopped just her into this picture.
That's totally possible.
From somewhere else.
I'm saying the way the photo looks, the way they are standing, they are not fighting each other. Whether that's on purpose or not, I don't know.
Okay,
But I 100% think that photo is them not fighting each other.
Here's this. You could see rain hitting Kylo's cape, but it doesn't look like water is touching Rey anywhere.
It's possible.
So maybe she was photoshopped.
Yeah, right. And that's totally possible. I'm just saying this photo does not look like they're fighting each other. Whether they are fighting something else, I don't know. Though there is the heavy rumor that they are going to fight some Palpatine type thing. Person.
But there's also a rumor saying that there's gonna be one long battle of just them at the end.
But that too. That's supposed to happen too, in addition to the Palpatine stuff.
Okay.
Just saying.
We gotta choose our
something's
rumors
wrong
here.
with this photo.
But okay. But that doesn't mean
It's upsetting.
okay.
And I'm on the verge of saying that there should be something there that they're fighting and it's not there.
I don't agree with that at all.
So speaking of that thing they're supposed
We
to be
can
fighting,
agree that it's not the Falcon.
No, yeah, it's totally the Death Star.
And everyone
Has
who
to be
says
the
it's the
Death Star.
Falcon is a big idiot.
Yes, they're not allowed to see the movie.
Okay. They're not allowed to see the movie.
Yeah.
Right.
You had bad ideas. Now
If you
can't see
call
it.
bad theories from now on, you're not allowed to see the movie.
Yep, I will make sure of it. So speaking of the thing that they're supposed to be fighting, right? So we still have nothing about Matt Smith anywhere. Of course, we don't have anything about Dominic Monaghan either. So that's weigh either of these things with grains of salt.
Mm-hmm.
Which Dominic's supposed to be part of that group. That picture with Finn and the Orbaks and what's her face? Naomi Ackie's character. I can't remember her name.
It's just one. It's just the first name so far.
Right.
I
think he's supposed to be a part of Dominic Monaghan's supposed to be a part of their group. But again, we still haven't heard anything about him, though I still think he is listed in the cast list.
Jana
is
her name.
So I think Dominic Monaghan is still in the cast listing if you see it in various places, I believe.
Okay.
So Matt Smith previously, we still haven't heard anything about him. He was still listed in the cast list on the European Disney websites about Rise of Skywalker until recently. In the last week or so, his name was taken off of the list of cast.
On this one place you're talking about, right?
And on the European Disney sites.
Yeah.
So the rumor is, one, that they're hiding Matt Smith because he has a very big role in relation to Palpatine and the whole thing that's going on with Palpatine.
So this could be a Mark Hamill thing again.
Right.
Like in Force Awakens.
And the rumor is that he is a acolyte, some kind of Sith acolyte that
is embodied or possessed?
well, he's part of this deal with whatever's happening with Palpatine. He's some kind of acolyte that's heavily involved. And the other part of that rumor is supposedly he gets embodied by Palpatine. So the rumor is that the reason he hasn't been mentioned or since day one is that he has this very large mysterious role that's involved with the very peak of what's going on with Palpatine.
Yeah.
And so they're just writing him out and trying to make you forget that ever happened so that it's a big deal when it does eventually happen. So it's just really weird to name someone like that who's a pretty big deal as an actor in a movie and then just never talk about him again.
When was he named?
Right away, wasn't he? Very early on.
But I don't think it was ever
Official,
officially
except for the European Disney websites. He was listed on the European Disney websites.
But is that where we first
That's the only
learned?
official place that's ever listed it, right? Other than that, beforehand, it was just like talks of him being cast. It was never officially announced that he was
Right.
cast.
It was always a rumor that he was cast. It was
Yes.
never announced.
And of course, you have Making Star Wars, who has all these various sources, multiple people confirming things supposedly, which they've had way more of that with this movie than they did with Last Jedi, which makes me think it's someone involved on JJ's side, on like Bad Robot or something. I don't know. But that's like, if you read anything from Making Star Wars, it's Matt Smith is in the film and he's this acolyte and has to do with all this stuff with Palpatine. Like that's like, I think the major head of that rumor is where that's coming from. Which, I mean, that would be super cool. All of that sounds interesting for him to be this mysterious Sith acolyte that's like trying to bring back Palpatine. And I don't know about the embodiment thing.
We talked last time about how, or maybe a couple episodes ago now, I can't remember, about how would Palpatine be in this
represented.
Yeah. Would he be just a Force ghost that's haunting the Death Star? Would he, or a spirit?
I could see there being but that's a spirit taking over someone's body because he doesn't have his own body. I can't see them bringing his body back. That'd be weird.
Yeah, bringing his body back sounds weird, but having him possessing somebody as the final act of a movie seems like very 80s horror movie kind of thing.
Yeah.
Like, the ghost at the very end of the movie possesses somebody and then they fight it.
Right. Yeah.
That feels very 80s horror movie to me. I don't know.
Possessing Kylo. That could be interesting.
I mean, that's like Marshmallow Man, Ghostbusters kind of thing. Right? Does that feel like that a little bit?
Maybe.
Didn't we talk about a giant... what were we talking about?
It was a giant something, and I can't remember at all.
Was it a giant Palpatine? Or was it something else?
I think it was a giant Palpatine.
Did we say Marshmallow Man last time? Are we rehashing the same jokes? We don't realize it?
It may have been. If you have to repeat a joke more than once, that means it's good.
Is that how it works?
Yes, definitely.
Is it still illegal when you can't remember what you've talked about before?
It counts.
I don't remember if we made the same joke.
I mean, obviously Palpatine's involved, right? He's laughing at the trailer, and we saw Ian McDermott at Celebration before telling the trailer to roll again.
Yeah.
So Palpatine's involved, but it'll be...
Oh, for sure, yeah. It's just a matter of
what's
how.
the involvement and how. And I could totally see the possession being a thing that happens.
Well, yeah, that's what I was going to say is I don't... Like, he could be a Force spirit, but then that kind of relegates him to be in a specific spot and they have to, like, go to him. And whereas if he possesses somebody, there could be a bigger plan.
What if he...
involved,
What if he's trying to... What if Kylo is the host that they've been trying to get because he has...
See, again, that feels very 80s horror movie to me.
What if Kylo he's been groomed as the host for Palpatine all this time?
Oh, this is an R. Kelly situation.
Oh, no. Palpatine's going to pee on Kylo Ren?
He's been grooming it this whole time.
Well, that was bound to happen. I don't know.
Did anyone else watch Surviving R. Kelly? No?
I've heard enough.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't know. The whole Palpatine thing will be very interesting, and obviously you have to do it. You have to do it right, otherwise it's going to be really
right, or it's
strange.
going to feel really weird and
hokey.
And hokey.
The only other thing important to me about the Vanity Fair shoot and photo is the photo of the Knights of Ren, and one of them has a gun for an arm. This is very important news. I'm very excited that there is a Knight of Ren that just has a gun arm, like
the old blaster boy,
like a Mega Man in Star Wars.
It's true,
and I think it's awesome. Otherwise, I don't know. The Knights of Ren look really cool. It'll be interesting to see how they play into it.
I like how they're all facing the camera except the guy in the middle who is not facing the camera. He's
Maybe he doesn't
backwards.
have a face.
No, that we're seeing his back.
How do you
That's
know?
his back.
Maybe he's a backwards
His
man.
feet are pointed the other way.
Maybe he's backwards as a person.
He's backwards, man. That's his
Yeah.
power.
Just all of it. He's just everything's backwards.
Okay.
Except for his
wait,
knees.
wait, so
Except for his knees.
So what-
Everything's backwards.
yeah,
but his knees.
what parts are backwards then to make him backwards, man? Because he's holding his weapon behind him too.
So technically, the only things that are backwards are his elbows, shoulders, and knees.
His whole arm, his arms are backwards.
No, yeah, his arms
His
are.
weapon's behind him.
No, but the way his shoulders and elbows are, or I guess not his
Or
elbows.
face forward,
Yeah.
but his knees are turned around.
His knees are backwards so that he can walk that way.
And his arms.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's very complicated space stuff. I don't expect you to understand.
And his butt. It looks like his butt might be backwards too. His butt's on the front.
It's got a front butt. What? Just because it's
out.
space doesn't mean you can't have a front butt? Are you
Oh.
front butt shaming?
Oh, there's so many jokes here. I can't say.
Maybe he has an orbular front butt. Who are you to judge?
He got that front butt.
All right.
There's no eye holes.
In his butt? Is there a tiny person in his butt controlling him? Why are you looking? Michael, let me tell you something.
I'm trying to look
When
for
you
the
look
eye
into a
holes.
butt, that's not an eye hole,
What?
despite what you may have been told.
That's not where you look?
No, it's not a telescope in there. If it's telescoping, you should see a doctor.
No.
That's a problem.
I was trying to periscope.
Oh. I'm not familiar with
trying to
that.
periscope out.
Oh no. What eye holes are you looking for?
His face holes.
He's backwards.
That's what I just said. Yes, he's backwards.
No, he's back. He's a backwards man. His
No.
face is his face the other direction, but he moves this way. Don't you get it?
Okay, wait. I thought.
No, everything's backwards but his knees.
Okay. So, he's
So technically, only his knees are backwards. I guess if everything's backward but your knees, I guess really only your knees are backwards.
wait a minute. I think we're imagining two different things.
Probably. We always are.
So you're just saying he's a normal guy with
Yeah,
everything.
nothing else is different about him except for that he walks backwards because his knees are backwards.
Okay. Yeah.
So technically, he's facing forwards because that's the direction your
So
knees,
his feet
your knees point.
are okay. Yeah. So which part is backwards then? Everything is backwards except his knees,
Yes,
but
sure.
including his feet. So his feet are pointed the opposite
Yeah.
direction,
Can you imagine how hard
but
it would
his
be to
knees
walk?
face forwards, but his
Yeah.
feet are pointed back.
Yeah. Everything's
And he
backwards
walks
but his
backwards.
knees. So he has to walk in that direction, but it's backwards.
Okay.
Imagine if your back was your front and your knees were on that side and you had to walk that way.
Okay.
Now do you
I think I'm
understand?
getting it.
How
don't
much
understand
how much do
why-
I need to explain this stupid joke?
I guess I don't understand why his power should be just walking backwards.
It's confusing, obviously. How
That
could
would
you be
really
listening to this?
confusing. That would be really confusing.
He distracts everyone else while the rest of the knights clean up and kill all of the other people. It's like, holy shit, that man's got backwards knees.
He's walking backwards, but forwards.
Which way is he going? I don't know. Can he see us? Where's his eye hole?
Yeah, I guess depending on which direction he's facing. Is
Can
he
you
walking
imagine if someone
backwards
was
or
just
forwards?
marching at you backwards, but their knees were bending the right way? How terrifying that would be.
It's pretty terrifying. And everything else is faced backwards.
Yes, but his legs, other than his
Yeah.
feet pointing backwards, the movement of his legs is totally right, but everything else is backwards. That would be
pretty
horrifying.
terrifying.
So yeah, of course that's his power. Why
Okay.
wouldn't that be
So
the
he's
most
just-
terrifying thing to fight ever?
He's just the scary man. Okay. So you got a guy with a gun arm, a guy
That's-
with an anime sword, and then backwards man.
And a guy with a club and a guy with a pike.
And then the
Or,
other three.
like a halberd.
Okay.
The Backwards Man would be a horror movie that comes out in like February.
Yeah.
Like the really, really bad ones that come out in the spring, because why would you? You just have to release it, otherwise you're just going to keep losing money on it. The Backwards Man.
That's where you're like,
It's just a
you're
regular
gonna
guy.
lose the rights to some screenplay or something. You just have to make it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
All right. I'm glad we're on the same page now about Backwards Man.
Oh.
Okay.
That's the name of the episode, right? The Backwards Man?
The Backwards Man. Okay. Even though, why do we keep naming our episodes themed around the thing that happens in the last 10 minutes of the episode?
I know. It's if you stick around, you'll get it.
Okay.
What else?
We promise it's funny, but you have to make it through the first 45 minutes of the episode.
I like how we're really serious for like the first, 30, 45 minutes, and then we just fall apart.
And then 10 minutes on Backwards Man.
Yep.
Okay. We should probably be done.
Nothing else? What do we have? Galaxy's Edge is opening. Go read all the internet articles about it.
Oh, yeah, we didn't talk about that.
I don't know. Everyone keeps saying the Smuggler's Run ride is fantastic and ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And that it's really hard because you have a lot to actually focus on and do to actually like watch the ride at the same time.
Right.
So it's like this whole experience that's like you have to do it multiple times. Though there is supposedly like a autopilot button you can push just to like ride the ride and not really have to do all the things.
Right. But then, well, yeah, you've got to ride it multiple times to get the full.
Well, I mean, there's obviously all the different
to be able to
there's
get the full experience.
There's 6 positions. There's 6 people that can ride it in 3 different roles. So,
which I guess I don't know if I misunderstood last time I read about that, but yeah, there are 6 positions, but only 3 roles. It's pilot, engineer, and gunner.
Yeah, two gunners, 2 engineers.
So it's not like there are 6 roles you have to choose from.
Right.
You can end up with.
So
2,
the gunners.
I don't know how you end up with 2
the
pilots.
The gunners are gunners. The engineers are fixing stuff.
I don't know why.
Yeah, I don't know yet.
Pilot and co-pilot,
because they
I guess?
can't give out like too much information yet because of all the NDAs and all the stuff with the.
I guess it would just be pilot and co-pilot then at that point.
Yeah, but I don't know how that would. Probably because there's so much on the dashboard that you have to deal with. I'm sure.
Yeah. I mean, it's a
oh, my controls went out. Take over. Like there might be something. There could be stuff like that type of thing. Just to make sure that it's spread around so that everyone gets a turn.
It's the full cockpit. I mean, it's the cockpit of the Millennium Falcon. So yeah, there's a lot of.
So it's supposedly just like so much to take in that like by the end you don't even remember if you rode the ride or what you really like. It's like so hard.
I could see the first time being really overwhelming.
What happened? Is it over? Did I do it? Where am I?
Yeah.
So yeah, people are saying like it's just this. Just the what they've managed to make is ridiculous. And,
yeah.
Of course, the Resistance ride is not open yet. Other than that, everyone's just been saying just the scope of everything is just ridiculous. Until you get there, you don't realize how big this area they've set aside really is.
That's good because I was thinking about that the other day and how. From the few shots that we've seen, I guess it's only been around the Millennium Falcon
corridor, right? Yeah, it's always that like same corridor. We've only seen like that part, but you have the whole area that's dedicated to the First Order.
Yeah,
and you have the whole forest base
of
the Resistance, which we haven't seen anything on that side because that ride's not done yet.
And then also that corridor, which I assume is the neutral area.
So right now, almost everything is centered around that hub.
Yeah.
You have some shops over. So when you look, because they've released the map too, the Disneyland like official map for the park.
Really?
Yeah. So you can see like here's the ride, here's the cantina, here's like 4 shops. So there's like a lot of stuff right there around Ogda's Cantina and Smuggler's Run.
Right.
But then you have over to the other side towards the Resistance side, you have a few other shops and a few other like food things. But like all the main stuff is really central. So it's like it all feels very condensed there.
Okay.
Just because everything you hear about is really close to each other.
Yeah.
But then people say once you get there, like it feels bigger than you thought.
I could see because like when the studios had various Star Wars shops and stuff around,
right?
Like you could walk around here in Orlando at the studios. I remember there was this one shop that was like way off by itself near the Honey, I Shrunk the Kids playground. Do you remember that?
Oh, yeah.
And it was like this weird you had to go down these back corridors and stuff, and suddenly you're at this shop that's like in an entire, it's like a whole building dedicated to Star Wars
It's like a whole
merchandise.
old unused area.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, you could like walk. It wasn't just Star Wars stuff by Star Tours. It was, there was the stuff over by the Disneyland or the Disney Junior,
Yeah.
whatever that
The
is.
launch bay.
Yeah, that's what it is. That's what it's called. There was that thing, there was Star Tours, and then there was this other weird shop. So it was like you could walk around the whole park and still get various Star Wars things. So I'm wondering if it's like that, where like if you go to the First Order area, you'll find these like little shops and things that maybe
Right.
aren't advertised.
Yeah.
And then go to the other side, same thing with Resistance side. Stuff like that. So yeah, maybe it will feel
I
bigger
mean,
than it seems.
Yeah, and all the stuff with the merchandise has been coming out, like the droid builders thing, where you customize and make your own like mini droid. Well, apparently you can make a full size R2 unit for $25,000 if you want, and they'll ship, not including shipping and taxes. So we're probably
Yeah.
looking more at like $28,000 by the time it's like freight shipped to you.
$28,000 you can spend
For the cost of a car, you can get a very nice like proper R2 unit
that's remote
that's
control.
remote controlled.
Yeah.
So think like like anything you'd see at maybe like a droid
Yeah.
builder like at a convention,
But custom made.
but officially made by Disney,
yeah.
and you customizing what it looks like. Only R2 units though. You can't do like the BB units or anything.
Just the fact that they could do that, and like they've created, I assume, a kit.
That's
That they
supposedly
can use to make
that supposedly
these
is the
things.
most expensive thing Disney's ever sold that is not a limited edition item.
Wow. Yeah, it's pretty incredible.
Yeah. And then you've got all the other merchandise. Like you can get a replica of Kylo Ren's mask for $750.
Wow.
Full set of Stormtrooper armor for $6,600.
That's like Anovos quality stuff, I assume, right?
Probably. I mean,
Except this is officially
this is-
licensed.
yeah, it's over $6,500.
Well, I guess the Anovos stuff is licensed too, but this is like direct from
Right.
Lucasfilm,
Yeah,
basically.
you can. The lightsabers are going to be $200. The regular size
Yeah.
droids are $100.
Those are the custom droids, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Where you can make a BB or an R2 or an R5.
Yeah. Mhm.
Yeah. Or the DJ Rex droid is pre-built. I think it was cheaper, like $75, because you don't have to like go through the whole thing of making it.
Right. That's like the legacy hilts, quote unquote, from is it not Doc Ondar's? No, Savvy's Saber Workshop or something like that.
Lightsaber.
Yeah, anyway, you could buy basically the pre-built hilts.
Yeah.
That are, classic ones.
Yeah, you can buy
your
the known
Luke Hilt,
hilts,
your Mace Windu, your Obi-Wan,
reproductions of
Yeah.
The famous hilts.
Right.
Or you can customize your own for $200. Which all the ones that people have been taking photos of that they got to customize during their preview nights look really cool.
They do legitimately look really cool. And the pricing structure was explained a little bit more too. It's $100 for just the hilt.
Yeah.
$50 for the kyber crystal, because apparently you can like once you build your hilt, you're not just locked to a single whatever color you choose there.
You can buy
a
various
kyber
crystals
crystal separately
for the color you want, right?
Right. And you can go back and buy different colors of kyber crystals, which will give it obviously different colors, but also different sounds.
Yeah.
And it'll operate differently, which is really
Right.
cool. That, and then also the blade attachment is $50.
Yeah.
So you could go in there and buy just the hilt if you want just a custom made hilt for $100.
Which, I mean, honestly, considering isn't $200 is about what some of the Black Series lightsabers were, right?
Close
They
to
were
it. I think the most
150.
expensive one is 180. Kylo's is like 180.
So getting to fully customize your own lightsaber and having it be of the same quality or better than the Black Series sabers isn't that bad, honestly.
Definitely more sounds and more like interactivity, because you could they showed in one of these demo videos somebody opening it up and putting the kyber crystal in. It looks really cool.
And I like how the kyber's like in like a containment unit almost.
Yeah.
Like, it has to be like in something.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Just everything about everything that everyone's saying about this just sounds so good.
I definitely have to do that.
Yeah, I'm
at some
definitely
point.
I'm 100% making a lightsaber.
Yeah.
I'm sure I'll want to make multiple ones.
Yeah.
gonna be really
Yeah,
hard
I'm
not
sure.
to. Like Ogda's Cantina is going to be selling. They'll have like 2 or 3 different mugs they're going to sell that you can like buy, like mugs.
Mugs like refillable.
Drink like no drink mugs, just like nice like glass drink mugs.
Oh,
and stuff.
really?
Yeah. So there's a couple different. There's like a.
Did they show some?
I think
of
they
them?
said they haven't. I haven't seen them yet. There's
Oh.
supposedly like an indoor themed mug. There's some other type of mug, and then apparently a flight, set, like a
mug.
flight set.
Oh, I see.
For like I think they were like $40 or $50 or something
Yeah.
like that.
Have we talked about how they're going to work the 4-hour system at Disneyland?
I don't know if we did, but yeah, it's all going to be wristband based.
Yeah. And there's going to be squads of stormtroopers patrolling the park looking for the wristbands will be color coded. So depending on your block, you'll get a different color.
So like when the 4-hour span changes over, they'll know anyone with a blue wristband shouldn't
Needs to
be here
go.
anymore.
Right. So they're going to be squads of stormtroopers that will escort you out of the park if you go past your.
Right. So
What happens if you just run away, though? I
then
mean, really.
then you get actually banned from the park.
I guess it's true.
But how many people are just going to hang around and wait for that to happen to have the experience?
True.
Right. So is that just going to cause more of a problem that they've made it part of the thing?
Oh, we're having fun. Look at us.
Oh no, I'm here late. Who will stop me?
You just lay down.
Oh, I've got the vapors.
I'm here late. Take me. Grab me with his strong arms.
What are you going to do? I'm so late. Not what you want to hear. Ever.
What are you going to do to me?
Hey,
Oh, do your worst.
Mr. Trooper, I'm late. Better grab me. All right. This has been enough.
Oh, it was enough a long time ago.
I'm sure. Way before Backwards Man.
Okay.
I love how long we argued about that. Just to
I
make,
was so
just to make
confused.
sure we understood exactly what was happening. Now, if you didn't understand us before, you better damn well now, because that's exactly how all of this works. Oh, God. Well, if you enjoy the podcast, you can hit us up on Twitter at hokey_religion. You can shoot us an email at asklobot@hokeyreligion.com. I want you to tweet us about that picture of Kylo Ren and Rey,
Tell us your
and
thoughts.
agree with me about how it doesn't look right.
No.
Yeah, tell us what you think about it. What else? If you really enjoy the show, you can go to patreon.com/hokeyreligion and support the show monetarily. It is greatly appreciated, as keeping the show on the internet is not free. I don't. If you want to leave us a review, you can. No one does anymore. If you haven't, we would greatly appreciate it. But don't overwork yourself if it's that hard. Do I sound jaded about people not reviewing us yet?
I have thought, and I still think that we're just at the review capacity.
We've hit the limit.
Everyone who knows about us has reviewed us at this
Oh,
point.
no. Great.
So you could do that. I'm actually tweeting right now a poll thing.
Okay.
Do you
Yeah,
think
do it.
there's something in between
Like sexually or
Rey and
emotionally? There's
Kylo.
something between them emotionally? What's happening? I don't.
Okay, do you think Rey and Kylo Rey and Kyle. Thanks. I'm correct.
Kyle.
That is a good that's a good ripstick writer name.
Kyle. Yeah.
Kyle. Do you think Rey and Kyle are fighting?
Are in love? So what? You're gonna post this on or pin it to our Twitter?
Yeah.
Okay. So we'll pin it. We're gonna.
Do you think Rey and Kyle
you still kidding?
are fighting?
Each other
or
something
is
else.
one option.
Something else.
Something else. Should I say a third being?
Yeah.
Okay. Each other,
A third entity.
a third entity, or
this photo was oddly put together.
No, that can't be a choice. Everyone's going to vote for that because, of course, it looks weird.
Yeah, it does.
That's a given.
Okay, fine. So yeah, pin that to the Twitter.
Do you
and,
think that weird Vanity Fair photo?
Just getting more specific. All right, we'll post this to our Twitter and we'll pin it to our Twitter account because I really want to see what other people
just
think about
each other and a third entity, or should it be a third choice?
No, just the two choices is good.
My ass. I'm fighting my
backwards
ass. The
Backwards man.
okay,
The third choice is backwards man.
backwards man. No one's gonna understand this until tomorrow.
No. All right. Yeah, that's more than enough of this. Thank you for listening. This is episode 96. This is Tyler.
This is Michael.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Pokey religions and ancient weapons. Pokey religions and ancient weapons are no match for a good blaster at your side.